R2D2.
What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome to Not Your Status Quo. Today, we're talking about Dave's R2D2 that he has right there. See, it's really awesome. Just kidding. Well, we will talk about that too. But we're talking Creature Commandos, Episode 4, Chasing Squirrels. Have you guys noticed that they say the title in every episode?
Oh, he said it. He said it. Yes,
But
I have noticed.
before we get into all of that fun, Dave, Doug, how's it going, gentlemen?
Well, Keith, I am fan-freaking-tastic. Not by the shirt I'm wearing, though. These guys are pretty bad. But you know what? I'm a loyal fan. I still like to watch football no matter what. So I'm just glad they had fun. Right, Doug?
Yeah, that is true, Dave. The only thing that really matters is that they went out there, they tried their best, and they had fun, you know?
Yeah, they should get, like, a little Gatorade after the game just because they were good, good players.
That's right. You know, walk across from each other, slap each other on the ass, say, good game, good game.
Slap
Yes,
each
that's
other
how they all
on
well.
their bottoms. This is a family show, Doug.
Okay.
We won't
Make
talk
sure you don't
about
go any
what I
higher
said
or
before we
lower.
went live.
Right, yeah. Probably that's for Not Your Status Quo After Dark. Our new adult channel.
If I had a microphone, I could whisper into it. And Creature Commandos this week was just wonderful, and I can't wait to talk about it with you guys. On Not Your Status Quo After Dark. Doug, how are you doing tonight, buddy?
Well, Dave, let me tell you, I am outstanding. So sorry that I wasn't able to join you all for Skeleton Crew this week. Just couldn't make it, but you all did an amazing job. Loved watching it. And you know what? I was able to watch it after the fact on YouTube. In fact, if you want to watch any of our streams, if you missed them the night that they aired live, you can always go back and rewatch on YouTube, which is what I did. And then I also liked and subscribed.
Yes.
Subscribed?
Yeah, because I wasn't before.
Good news, everyone.
That's going to push us over the top right there.
But I want to get into Creature Commandos because, boy, what an episode. So, Keith, sir, how are you?
Gentlemen, I am tremendous. It's Christmas week. We had some excellent episodes this week. We've got a bunch of comics on Doug's comic rack that look new and exciting. The only down thing, not to bring the room down too much. So I was in my fantasy football playoffs and I was stomped like a narc at a biker rally. So unfortunately, I will not be winning the championship this year, but I'm used to that. So without further ado, should we talk about Chasing Squirrels?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
You know, I had a feeling when I was watching the Suicide Squad that someday Weasel would get a little redemption.
I kind of figured.
I didn't know they were going to basically show us that he was framed, not really framed, falsely accused.
Misunderstood, I'd say.
Thank you. That's a much better word. Misunderstood. And when they were showing like him playing with the kids and them just having a great time, all the little things they did, where they're like, hey, you want some of this? Are you hungry? Come on out. You can have it. And gave him the fruit. And like they were just all having fun. I'm just like, James Gunn, stop luring us into a false sense of good feeling here. I know what's coming, sir.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a Rocket thing, Rocket, yeah, and Guardians 3 showed what happened to him and seeing what happened to Weasel. And I think even Weasel's story was sadder than Rocket's. I mean, you might not have gone through it as in many years, but it was pretty sad because he can't speak. There's nothing to fix the situation.
He didn't have any other friends but the kids that we saw in that flashback, which, I really thought that when we found out there was going to be flashbacks about each character in these episodes, I thought, man, that's going to get really annoying really quick. You know, we're coming off the tail end of other shows doing these dumb flashbacks, and half the time it's good, half the time it's really bad. Acolyte. And so I'm sitting here thinking, oh man, this is going to stink. Then when we got a chance to see the Bride of Frankenstein flashback, I'm like, all right, well, that was pretty well done. Then, oh my gosh, the Nazi hunter himself, GI Robots flashback was
That was
impeccable. That was like the best episode. Then, just to pile it on, and I was telling the guys, my neighbors were cutting onions, my allergies were acting up, crazy watching this episode. I mean, what a start to the DCU.
an animated show.
Right?
Evoking emotions like
I,
that.
I don't know if I mentioned this before, but when this was first announced as this was going to be the beginning of James Gunn's DCU, I'm like, that's stupid. They shouldn't be starting with an animated series. Count me wrong.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of people think that the Warner Brothers is a little strapped for cash, because they canceled finished projects to get tax breaks and things. So they really think that they have to. They're gonna start with more animated projects, possibly. Kind of like there was a rumor that the oh my god, I can't remember the team, the Authority, who we will see, the engineer in the Superman movie, was originally going to be a live action movie, is now going to be an animated movie. Now that hasn't been announced yet, but some of the inner workings. So I think that's probably why Creature Commandos started out animated. But man, you are right. They are doing just a tremendous job. And did you guys recognize the voice of Weasel's lawyer?
No.
No.
Linda Cardellini,
Really?
Hawkeye's wife. I didn't recognize either. I looked it up because I was like, I'm like, who is that? I'm like, God, that sounds so familiar, and I couldn't place it. I'm terrible at doing that sort of thing. And so I watched the credits and was like, I should have known.
Usually I'm pretty good at picking that out, but I guess she didn't have that many lines to be
No.
Overall, I guess. But I like Linda Carlini. I don't think I can think of a bad thing she's done.
In just the whole fact that, like Doug said earlier, he can't talk. He's basically innocent. He was trying to save that last kid after that backwoods creep thought he was dangerous, ended up, well, the kids kind of lighted the fire a little bit, but, we won't get into that. They're kids. He kind of ignited it, got the whole thing blowing up, got it out of control, killed most of the kids himself. And when Weasel was trying to save the kids because the cops showed up, which looked bad for a giant weasel-looking thing, they started firing at him, and he was still trying to save the kid, getting shot and still trying to save that kid until they finally captured him. And they stand there while the kid, the beams are landing on the little girl, pretty much ending her life. And I was like,
yeah, watch that kind of ticked me off because it was just like, don't these guys see this child here that's about to die, and they're more worried about Weasel than they are about saving this girl's life, which obviously, well, not to them, that Weasel was trying to get her out of there. But they were
Where were the firefighters in all of that? Like the police came first for some reason.
Well, the police were called before the fire started. That's probably why they got there first. And honestly, watching that, I was thinking the same thing, Dave. They're like, but then I'm thinking they probably don't see it as, oh, this thing's trying to save. They probably thought he was trying to take her and eat her somewhere else. Like he was trying to grab her and run off and feed on it later or something. Because you're right. I mean, what they were doing just seemed so wrong. But sometimes when you come upon a scene without knowing all the details, you make those, bad assumptions. And that's what, James Gunn did a great job of it. This show flowed and it made sense. And when you see all of the misunderstandings that led to basically Weasel being arrested, being part of Task Force X and now M, it's a little bit heartbreaking. I mean, you feel for Weasel.
Yeah, I mean, he went through it, and like it's obvious to the team that he's been through something, but obviously he can't express it. they're never going to get it, and that his lawyer will. His lawyer could explain it to him. Linda Carlini there, she could explain it to them.
Hmm.
But
I'm assuming she's a public defender, probably.
I would. I don't know.
The
I mean,
fact
who
they,
would be paying?
I was gonna say, the fact they call him John for John Doe,
Right.
Yeah,
I don't. He's not. He
but
doesn't have some estate somewhere.
for a
Hmm.
public defender, she is pretty passionate.
Yeah.
Actually, she's part of a group. Remember, she said it was
Oh.
like Freedom or something.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Like the Freedom Project or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah. Which is probably a parody of the Innocence Project.
I would assume so. Yes.
Yep. It got me thinking about, and I don't know if you two gentlemen remember this, but the first episode of the Justice League animated series, they were fighting these. I think they were supposed to be stand-ins for the White Martians, but they ended up calling them something different. But that was like the first double episode of the series, and the characters are getting together. They're going to fight the enemies that are invading Earth, and Flash makes a comment to Green Lantern. He goes, "Well, who are we fighting? Which ones are the bad guys?" And Green Lantern turns to him and says, "Who do you think?" And then gestures towards the aliens as if just because they're ugly looking aliens, therefore they're the bad guys. So I'm assuming that's just a mindset maybe in the DC universe in general across the board that if it's ugly, they're the bad guys. So looking at Weasel, they're probably thinking, oh, well, obviously, villain. Let's shoot at it.
Yeah, it's trying to eat that little girl.
Right. Yeah.
Oh man, those planks fell on her. She died. At least that darn weasel didn't eat her.
Right. Yeah.
Heroes.
At least we stopped this supervillain. Yeah. We're basically Superman.
They just took so much time to secure that he was out of action when the
Hmm.
girl was just a few feet away from him. And I don't have a hard time believing that might actually happen in real life.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know. It's sad but true.
Yeah, and that's good writing on James Gunn's part.
Oh yeah.
Oh, here's
Sorry.
No,
oxygen.
no, no. You can't be doing that already, Keith.
Sorry.
Come on.
Got up too early today. Lousy vacation. The and the rest of it I thought was, very well scripted. Well, the plot went well with Circe, and I don't remember what
Yeah.
the lady's name who came in who says, yeah, she's kind of clairvoyant. Which one's that again? She sees the future. Oh yeah. And I don't know if you noticed this in the scene where she, touched Waller and showed her.
Hmm.
Wally West was Flash.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
So
Yeah,
I wonder.
actually, I read about that later, and that he is
Oh,
actually in the vision. He's dead.
He is. But I'm
wow.
wondering, does this mean that we are not getting Barry Allen in the DCU? Maybe Wally West is going to be Flash at this point because we know James Gunn has said, even though we're just starting the DCU, we're not doing a bunch of origins. It's as if this universe has already been happening and we're just kind
Lived
of,
in,
yeah,
which that's fine. That's okay. At this point in time, I could understand why Marvel had to do what they had to do. They had limited access to a lot of their heroes, so they had to kind of sweep the bottom of the barrel for characters that not everybody was super aware of at the time. So they had to do an origin story for Iron Man and everything like that. But DC, like everyone knows Superman, and my God, if we see another Batman origin story with the Waynes getting killed and pearls flying, I'm gonna
Clutching
lose.
your pearls.
So I understand that. Like at this point, if you don't know who these heroes are, come on.
you're not going to know.
Yeah, just
I read this week that like how the MCU did it was they all had a big bad, and they the way they did it, we know how they did it. They had a big bad that went over three whole phases,
hmm.
and that was great for them, and it worked. But James
Hmm.
Gunn isn't just going to copy that. He said like the
No, and
story.
he has no reason to because DC already tried doing that, kind of failed
Yeah,
miserably. We remember discussing the fact that their response to Guardians of the Galaxy was Suicide Squad, and well, that was just a train wreck.
yeah, and the after credit scenes that DC did were just not as well planned or thought out as Marvel's. So, if he's going to learn from that, that's great. And then, everything can coexist. And if they need to do a team up, do a team up. But as long as everything in that universe is like, kind of flows with each other, it's pretty cool.
Right, right.
As long as we get good stories and good movies, that's all that matters. Everything doesn't have to
Exactly.
be completely interconnected in every aspect of every show and thing. You hope there's it's kind of like shows. Sometimes you get a show where it's like, I'll just pick one at random, Veronica Mars.
Hmm.
They like have a weekly mystery, but then they have like an overarching mystery too. So they can make these movies with their own plots that maybe just can hint at the bigger overall plot and build up to it. But they don't all have to touch on it either. I mean, if it doesn't make sense, the last thing you want is some weird reference shoehorned in where it doesn't fit, because then you're like, okay, that
Yep.
didn't make much sense. And it doesn't have to be. You can build up to something without every movie touching on it, without every reference and every 5 minutes of every movie. You just build up to it in the ones that make sense. And I think it sounds like that's what James Gunn is going for. And
There was a TV show that was really good at doing that.
so I get
And
my hand on the button.
Mentioned it several times before. Smallville. They were really good, and they didn't have like obviously post credit scenes. The last scene in the show would always be not always be, but it would occasionally be something to move the story along for the main plot of the season. But each show had its own thing. So yeah, it can be done, and it can be done right. So it
Speaking of
doesn't
your
have
favorite show, Smallville, somebody was posting on Reddit the scene of Crypto pulling Superman with just somebody save
Oh, that's
me.
awesome. We
Great.
should have thought. I should have thought of that. Come on, Dave.
And then, of course, another one had the side by side of two of the best Lex Luthor, the best Lex Luthor so far, and hopefully a potential another best Lex Luthor with Michael Rosenbaum and Nicholas Holt next to each other. So, you know, looking forward
He
to
does
that.
look quite menacing in this movie. I'm looking forward to see his portrayal.
Hmm.
And at this point, there's no reason not to trust James Gunn that he is going to write excellent characters. The story's going to be good, and we should have a wonderful time at the theater on July 10th when we go at our at the theater review.
Well, speaking of Superman and going back to Creature Commandos and thinking about that thing that Amanda Waller saw, that clairvoyant look into the future. Oh my gosh, I was almost stunned at like how horrific it all looked. You got Superman, and you've got Batman, all these well-known DC heroes, and they're all like dead and crucified and everything like that, and just it looks like a total war zone. And then was that Gorilla Grodd?
In the
Yes.
newspaper, it was.
That is nuts, man.
That little Easter egg they put down, I was like, wow, okay, he is. And that's the
Hmm.
thing. So many people like want to do comic book movies. They like a character here and there, and they have good ideas. James Gunn like read all the comics growing up, so
Hmm.
he knows all the little storylines. He knows all the little characters, and just that little tease of Gorilla Grodd in that newspaper was like, dang, okay, I want this movie today. I want it now. And then just a hint. Even with taking a character like this princess is nobody that I know in DC, and kind of making her sort of the big threat that it looks like Creature Commandos are going to have to deal with in this first series is great, because it doesn't have to be an established character to have a decent show. You do need to get away from the established comics canon a little bit. You can't just, we're going to do exactly what was in the comics, because then everyone knows what's happening. It's not as big a surprise. And they're seemingly doing that very well right now on Creature Commandos. And once again, we only have 3 episodes left, which makes me sad because this show has been so
Hmm.
good, and I don't want to wait 7 months for the next entry into the DCU. But they're doing a great job, and seeing all of those, seeing how the world is ending up if they don't go stop her. gives you stakes. This character could take apart all these countries, destroy Superman, destroy Batman, destroy Wonder Woman, Starfire. Who else was there? Oh, Mr.
Right.
Terrific was there. Now, the good news is the one saving thing about that vision, and I'm sure Amanda Waller will talk about it next episode, the thing that'll be like, well, we might be okay because Guy Gardner was not strung up. So he may come and save the day, like
Sure. Yeah.
as as
Okay.
as Doug's favorite Green Lantern. We know.
It's so good. I mean, okay. So go
And I
ahead.
apologize. Doug just sent us a screenshot. I was talking about the newspaper clip from the Superman trailer.
No,
Doug
I
was
was
talking about the vision where we
Yeah.
see what looks to be Gorilla Grodd talking with the
Mhm.
Yep.
princess.
Yep.
You
And
should have
from
stopped
what I
with
heard,
it.
I did
You're on a
hear
roll.
that Brad was in the Superman movie, but I don't know. I can't remember where I heard that from. Just a rumor.
You heard what, Dave?
I heard that Grodd was going to be in the Superman movie, not like a main character, just like a
Well,
in
he's
there.
in that newspaper in the trailer, so I think it's very likely that he may show up in some capacity there. Could be setting up something down the road, or you never know. But
I mean, I
looking
don't
good.
think James Gunn would do this, but imagine if it was like an Amazing Spider-Man 2 where we only saw him at the very end as Superman's getting ready to throw a punch as Gorilla Grodd is running at him, and then we smash the credits.
Now we do have a question from YouTube comments from Hunter Iggy. What is your thoughts on the Zack Snyder Bros trying to sabotage it? You know, it's just very sad in my eyes. I know they're upset. I'm not a big fan of Zack Snyder and definitely not a fan of his movies, and I understand they want to see his vision continued. That doesn't mean you try to, take down other projects and stuff. It's pretty sad and pathetic at this point. You know, I feel bad for them. They're not getting what they really like and love, but behaving this way is just not needed in any way.
It's almost like they're sort of turning their entire personality towards being a gigantic fan of the Zack Snyder vision, even though it was, and this is not meant to be like a put down or an insult, but it was very half baked. And if you think about it, the vast majority of the movies that were part of the Snyderverse weren't necessarily thought up by him, and he really didn't have a whole lot of. It's not like he was the it's not like he was the head of the DC studios, at least not in the same sense that James Gunn is right now. It's not like he had final say on everything that was made. So like, well, you might see a production credit here and there. Like I remember we saw it on the first Wonder Woman movie. I don't think he really had a whole lot of sway in how that movie was made. So for them to be, begging and screaming like, "Oh my gosh, we want the Snyderverse," it's like, yeah, but what from the Snyderverse? What is it that you most liked about it? Like, if you're the main thing that was the Snyderverse was Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and then of course the Snyder cut of the Justice League. That was it. That's the Snyderverse.
Yep.
That is Zack Snyder. Everything else that was in those, set of movies, Wonder Woman 84, that wasn't Zack Snyder.
And
Yeah,
then we
although
have
he got the producer credit.
yeah. And then we have another Andrew Coatsworth. Red Sun was a fantastic animated film. It certainly
Yes.
was.
Yes, it
Loved it.
was.
And Jose said, I could see James Gunn making an Elseworlds live action Red Sun Superman movie with Henry Cavill. You know what?
I mean, if Henry Cavill wants to be a part of it, sure.
Yeah. Oh, and then if
I
DC
don't
is
see him.
successful. No, you're right. If they
Yeah.
start
To
raking in
say,
the money, I know James Gunn and Henry Cavill, despite what some people want you to think, do get along.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that would be kind of interesting to see a live action Elseworlds Red Sun movie. I would see it. The graphic novel and the animated movie were both excellent. So
Oh yeah.
we would be all on board
Actually,
for that.
about 2 weeks ago, I was watching a sort of retrospective review of the Red Sun animated movie. Um, every now and again, I like to watch other YouTubers just to see their thoughts on them, and yeah, it was a great breakdown. It's it made me want to watch it again. Great film.
Yeah, a lot
I
of.
just don't think they would do it because he's trying to build a universe, and the only one he's allowed so far to go off is Batman because that's such an excellent story by Matt Reeves.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't see him like straying too far from his universe
Well, he has
that he's
said on
trying to
many
create.
occasions he's willing to do allow Elseworlds movies to happen. So I don't think. I mean, if someone comes to him with an idea and it's like, hey, I want to do this, and it's a good script, and they get people, I think he would do it. He's not going to write it himself per se, but DC Studios would do it.
Look, he got a response on X from James Gunn this week, and now he knows his thoughts. He knows
Threads,
what he's gonna do.
threads. No, he has said on many occasions, Dave, that Elseworld projects
Okay,
will be a part
yeah,
of DC
all right.
Studios. Now, none have been announced yet, but who knows? I thought that Clayface was going to be Elseworlds, at least maybe Matt Reeves.
Hmm.
Of course, people are already talking too. We might as well go into tangent time for a minute because there are people that are saying, and he has not denied it yet. He does come down and sometimes say that's just not true, and he hasn't refuted this at all yet. That the rumor is that he wants Robert Pattinson to be the DCU's Batman.
And he's
Oh,
gonna link
really?
this in somehow. He's gonna link the Batman series into his universe somehow.
Maybe it could be something along the lines of how the Captain America: The First Avenger was way in the past, and then we see him here. So if it does happen, maybe it's something along the lines of, hey, the Batman and the Batman Part Two happened, 20 years ago. This is an older Batman. He went through all that. And now he's here. I mean, I could see them because I think Matt Reeves only wants to do a couple movies and a few things, and he could be done. And then Robert Pattinson could be the DCU's Batman and just be, that was years ago or something. Once again, none of this has been confirmed. This is all rumor, which hasn't been refuted by James Gunn yet. But I mean, I'm all for it. I thought Robert Pattinson did a great job as Batman. So
I could see them doing that, or they could do, pull the whole same actor, different versions of Batman, where they have Matt Reeves play, or I'm sorry, not Matt Reeves. Uh, what's his name?
Robert
Uh,
Pattinson.
Robert
Robert,
Pattinson. But they have
I
Robert
said
Pattinson
Edward.
play the Batman version of Batman, and then they also have him play the DCU version of Batman. I could see that happening as well.
Yeah. And Jose says, I think he'll 100% make an Elseworlds Batman Beyond animated movie like Spider Verse. Sounds good to me.
That'd be fine. I'd love that. I would definitely love to see more Batman Beyond. That was one of my favorite series.
Was it?
I
Was
mean,
it? Was it called
uh,
Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker? The one movie that they did.
There was a movie, yeah, called
That
that.
was fantastic. That was so
Oh
good.
yeah.
but I did want to say how cool it was that when we encountered an issue with the preview for Superman, that Keith tweeted to this guy, James Gunn, and he responded. That's so cool of this guy.
Not only, well, it was Threads. Not only did he respond,
Okay, sorry, Threads.
he got. We want to make sure the information is correct. He got one of their marketing people to reach out to me to make sure that there wasn't a copyright strike against our channel or anything like that. And he did come back and say, hey, right now our policy is to, if it's our footage, you can't monetize it. And they didn't give us a strike. It was just a copyright claim, and we weren't allowed to monetize because we had the footage in it. But the PR person reached out and said, is there anything I can do for you? And I was like, it's just a copyright claim. I've already edited it out, so we're good. And then she said, well, if anything comes up, let me know. And I said, well, tickets to the premiere would be nice. Just kidding. Have a good weekend. So
It's the fact that
Well,
he's willing
dang.
to communicate and he helped you and he sent someone to talk to you. That's
Yeah.
amazing. You don't get that from anyone else.
No,
that is.
James Gunn cares about the fans. And this isn't the first time that he's responded to people. He's done this for years, going all the way back. And all it took was Keith weaving a bit of a thread. I'm trying to make that happen. I'm sorry. Keith weaved a thread, and
Sorry.
James Gunn crocheted a response. I assume that's will
He
that take
crocheted.
off? Yeah. Or,
And he
or
did-
knitted a response.
And he did follow that up by saying he's going to investigate further to because someone, wasn't me, on the same sort of thread said, Disney and Marvel, with all of their faults, will let you use their footage for
Yeah,
breakdowns, and it helps the movies. And he said, I'm going to look into it. I don't have any answers now, but I will try to get something in place. And that's awesome. You can't
it is.
ask
Yeah.
for the head of a studio to respond to threads and try to make policy change to help out a little YouTube and Twitch channel.
Yep.
That's awesome.
That
Very
that
cool.
really is. That really is. I do love it. And so on air, thank you, James Gunn. I'm sure that you watch every one of our streams. Thank you for responding. You know, it's already more than you had to do.
We will see you at the premiere of Superman. And now,
Right.
let's see. Hunter Iggy just said, "Did you see my other comment?" If you're talking about the one about the Zack Snyder Bros trying to sabotage Superman, we did talk about it a little bit. We're hoping they move on. We understand they love their Zack Snyder DCEU, but it's not coming back. Bashing what the DCU is now isn't going to bring Zack Snyder and DCEU back. It's not going to happen. So, I hope they can end up watching the movie, hopefully enjoy it. If they don't enjoy it, hey man, it's all subjective. I'm not going to tell anybody what they should like or love. We just talk about what we like, which is definitely
And if we want to,
Creature Commandos.
That's
yeah,
right.
if we want to
I
reel
knew
it
that's
back
what
to
you were gonna
Creature
do.
Commandos, how about that scene after the clairvoyance, right? It was explained to Amanda Waller. It was, you could tell it was written by James Gunn, because at the same time it was serious. They had, within almost every sentence, a little levity. Talking to what's his name from the Peacemaker show? Um,
John Economist, or his name's John. I can't remember his last name.
yeah, and when she had a question, she addressed it to him, and he responds in this funny way, and I'm like, that's perfect, just to insert that there. It's keeping it serious, but not serious at the same time. Same with Rick Flag. He's become enamored with this lady just because he can't see her clearly now because they're having sex, which is exactly what the princess wanted.
And you
So she's
find that
playing.
out. That is a great point. You kind of figure that out later. It's like she knows he's the leader of this group sent to the U.S. If she gets him on her side through any means necessary, that's probably going to help her, further along her plans. And she's probably just waiting for the queen to pass away to become the queen and be able to put those plans into place. So every little thing has a meaning. He's not writing scenes just to have scenes like that. There is always a reason, and that's what makes his stuff so good and so rewatchable. I'm looking forward to rewatching. I usually watch each episode twice, once when it comes out when I can, and then once again kind of before we stream. And man, you catch so many little things that second time and third times when you watch of stuff just going on. It's great. Oh, it says, are you going to break down the Easter eggs in James Gunn's Superman movie? Well, there's a lot of other channels that do that really well. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about what we see, review it, talk about what's next. We always like to try to figure out from what we've seen kind of what's going to come next. So, keep an eye on our YouTube channel. If you're not already subscribed, please do. It costs you nothing. Like our video. We would appreciate it. It helps our small little channel out quite a bit. Let's see. Jose asked, do you guys think he'll use crypto in the Supergirl movie or not? If he does, how will that work unless Kara already met Clark? That
Really
is
got to see how that first movie plays out. We don't know. I mean, it's the plot.
the fact that crypto is in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow comic book, which we will have a back issue breakdown on that at some point. It's already been penciled in to the schedule, but they have said that there is already somebody who has not been announced for Superman that is in the movie, and a lot of people are thinking it will be Millie Alcock as Supergirl. So there could be a very good chance that we will meet her in Superman before her solo movie, which could explain how crypto ends up in it.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's always good.
Yeah, the one thing that I will say without getting too deep into it, because I don't know if we're going to. I know that the two of you talked a little bit about the trailer, but had cut it out due to the copyright strike and all that. But um, if we do end up talking about the trailer again, the only while it does look exciting and I can't wait for it, the only thing that I'll say is it looks very jam-packed. And I know that James Gunn does well with large casts, a la Guardians of the Galaxy, the Suicide Squad. I just don't think he needs to do that every single time. Just a thought.
Well, and we don't know how these characters are going to be used. You're right. With what we saw in the trailer, I mean, we got Metamorpho, we got Hawk Girl, we got Guy Gardner, we got Mr.
Hmm.
Terrific, we got Jimmy Olsen, we got Lex Luthor, we got Crypto, we got it looked like Ultraman,
Yeah.
which he was kind of
And I
fighting
thought I
at.
saw that is his name Turbo? I want to say that was his name. I could be misremembering.
We did
The guy
also
with the T.
see. Go ahead, Dave.
That's Mr. I said, you mean the guy with a T on his face? That's
Yeah.
Mr.
That's Mr.
Oh, that's
Terrific.
Mr. Terrific.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then we saw Grodd in the newspaper, what looked like. So yeah, does seem like an awful lot going on. But I do trust James Gunn to handle that. And I don't think he'll do that every movie. I think he honestly is setting a bunch up to push future projects up because he, obviously came out saying, chapter one is going to be gods and monsters. And so probably getting a lot of these characters into Superman probably has plot points for it there too, but maybe other things down the line which he's already plotting.
Hmm.
Let's see. Jose says, "Yeah, that's a big critic I've seen from people is that it looks jam packed." You know, to me, one of the things, and it does look jam packed, but it also looks like the most comic book movie, the most comic-y book movie I've seen in a while. Like it
Oh
is
yeah,
not
yeah.
like apologizing for being a comic book movie. It's embracing it.
Full
And
haircut for Guy Gardner and all.
yeah. So while it does
It
look
looks
jam
great.
packed, oh, and Brogu says, "Hello, everyone. Merry Christmas." Dave Kinchis, wherever you're at, Merry Christmas also. Thanks, everybody. It is, the holiday week. We're excited. We're going to finish up Creature Commandos. We got What If coming out. We got Skeleton Crew, all leading us into the new year.
Hmm.
So, but let's get back to a little Creature Commandos because it does end up, Rick Flag, with Dave's point in mind, that she was seducing him to kind of get him on her side. Kind of worked. He
Hmm.
refuses the order and is heading home when he's hijacked by Eric, also aka Frankenstein, which was hilarious.
Friends.
Like,
I did not know if I would like David
he's
Harbour.
such a bro.
I know. I didn't know if I would like David Harbour as Frankenstein. He's awesome.
He's great. It's so hilarious. As soon as they showed him like hanging out on a yacht wearing a like Hawaiian shirt, I'm like, okay, all right. Not certainly would have never imagined Frankenstein like that, but you got me.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry for all of the literary nerds out there. Frankenstein's monster. So we don't get corrected in the comments.
Yeah, he's not. Frankenstein died a long time ago.
And
Or
Brogu,
Eric.
yeah, Eric, that's right, Eric Frankenstein. And Brogu says the movie to me harkens back to Christopher Reeve's Superman. For those who were around back then, like myself, I give it a very nostalgic feeling, which I love. I was 7 when I saw that first movie
Yeah.
in the theaters. It definitely does, using the John Williams theme. In the
Yep.
Yes.
it was like
I
an
would-
electric guitar. It was
That got me.
fantastic.
That was so nice sounding. I'm like, oh my gosh.
And
I've rewatched that trailer so many times, and the music just gets to me, man.
the little curl on his head really does look like the Christopher Reeve curl. So yeah, there's a lot going on. I think James Gunn is purposely paying homage to, Richard Donner and Christopher Reeve's Superman film. It was just so good. What is your thoughts on the poster and the new Superman suit in the poster? Well, I have the Superman suit as my lock screen and background on my iPad currently, so I definitely love
Oh, I
it.
thought you were gonna put it on. I've got the new Superman suit right here.
Right.
Yeah, let's get it.
Let him cook. Let him cook. Oh, never mind.
Oh yeah, background.
Personally, not a fan of the suit. I think like the movie, there's just a lot going on. It seems like a lot of unnecessary details, and I know that they do that a lot with superhero suits nowadays. Like they've got the look of like the scales and the lines and the bulbs popping out and everything like that. It just seems like too much on Superman's suit. Like Superman, he's bulletproof. He doesn't need a lot. He doesn't need a whole lot of like techno doodads and whatever lining the suit.
Now,
It's just a costume.
David Cornsweet said why they
Hmm.
have the trunks and all of that sort of, red and blue, and he has the yellow S on the back
I don't
of
mind the
his tape.
colors.
No, but he said the reason Superman suit is like that. And
Hmm.
this is how he convinced James Gunn to use the trunks. Because James Gunn was going back
Okay.
and forth on whether to use the trunks. Because he's so powerful and like so intimidating with his, super strength, super speed,
Hmm.
eye beams coming out of his face. He can freeze people with his breath, all these things. He dresses like a wrestler to put people at ease. And that's why it has all the doodads on it. It wants to distract,
Oh,
especially
okay.
kids, from what he can actually do. It's like kind of like almost, you know, a
I
clown
guess
suit to put kids at ease so they're not fearful.
I guess for me, when I envision Superman suit, and I know I'm dating myself, but like I just envision blue spandex, red cape, Superman symbol, red trunks. That's it. Not all the extra lines and bubbles and scales and, stuff all over, which like just to me doesn't make sense. But other than that, it's fine. Like I'm just overthinking it, really. That's all it really is. And I'm sure it's going to be fine. And I'm not even going to focus on how the suit looks as I'm watching the movie. It was very noticeable in the poster and in the trailer. And I was like, huh, that seems like a lot of unnecessary stuff. But if we do kind of weave it back into like what you're saying, where he's so powerful, I could see maybe him requesting like Star Labs or whatever design a suit that can withstand his super speed and his flight and everything like that, so it doesn't tear up and rip apart every single time he's fighting a bad guy.
So you like the Christopher Reeves suit?
Oh yeah, I totally love Christopher Reeve's suit.
Yep.
That's iconic Superman.
And let's see,
One thing I
Brogu.
don't like about the suit is the way they do the S. I don't like it personally. It's not my personal favorite.
Not my
Say
personal
that again.
favorite, but I do like it. The S, the symbol.
Yes.
Oh
The
yeah, I like that.
squirrel.
I like the design of that too. That's nice.
It
I
makes
don't
it
like it.
seem more
That's what I'm saying.
Kryptonian to me. Like why would they have an S in their alphabet per se? So it kind of has the image of
It's
it.
not an S.
That
It's the
stands for
symbol
hope
of
on our
hope.
planet.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And
Like, I really hope my dad will let me save him.
Nah, it's just a little bit windy, man. No big deal.
don't expose your powers to the world. Let everyone die.
Yeah.
But Brogu says, "Oh, the guitar at the beginning was just Top Gun." I swear it sounded like
I didn't know
John
that.
Williams' theme.
Yeah, it did to me.
Okay.
But you know what? It'd be worth listening to just to compare them.
James Gunn said it was John Williams music. I thought I read that.
I thought I did too. And then he says a Superman and his suit is to be more appealing to people, saving people. I absolutely love the Zack Snyder Superman suit, but those movies were more dark and serious. The Superman is about hope. This Superman is
Exactly.
about hope.
That's something we've talked about previously when discussing Man of Steel, and just how Superman is portrayed in the Snyderverse. He's not the normal comic book Superman. This one in the Snyderverse seems devoid of hope. And it makes more sense with the type of Pa Kent that raised him, where maybe saving people isn't exactly like his main goal. It's sort of like with the whole like, oh, I've got to pretend like I'm Jesus as I'm falling to earth kind of thing, and I'm gonna snap some dude's neck and everything, and all the destruction. I am glad that one of the first things that we see in this trailer when we move from Crypto pulling him out of the snow is Superman rushing to save somebody, because that is key to Superman's character. It's the fact that he cares about the people and he wants to save them. I need to see more of that in superhero movies where they're actually saving people.
You
And
know,
we
I
did.
wonder if it got that from my favorite show, because it's in the opening credits of Smallville that he does that starting in season 5, I
You
think.
you get 2 per stream, really?
Yeah, I'll keep going, man. But I wonder if he
He
saw
can have
that
as many
and
as he
wanted to
wants.
put that in
Okay.
I thought might have seen that and put that in his movie because it's such a cool thing, just like you say, Doug, because he's really here for all the common people.
Yeah, yeah. And the other thing that I really hope that they get right this time around, and I'm sure they will, because like I do have more hope that James Gunn knows this character, understands the character of Superman better. One of the things that I hope that they go back to is the fact that first and foremost, Superman is a human. He considers himself a human born on Earth. He didn't find out about the whole, him being from another planet until he was like a teenager or something, when like his parents finally revealed it to him. The fact that, he goes around dressed as Clark Kent, that's not him dressing up. That's just who he feels. That's who he internalizes as himself. I am Clark Kent first. Superman is my costume.
Yeah.
Until hits a certain age, like 30 or something, then he decides it's the other way around. But you know how much it will always blew my mind in the comics is that he has to make an effort to be that clumsy. You know, he's not naturally clumsy at all.
Hmm.
He's very put together. You know, he's Superman. He's not going to trip and stumble. So he has to make an effort to do that, and to convince people he's that clumsy. He's a very good actor.
Yes, 100%. And Jose says he'll probably get a new suit, or at least they'll fix it up in his next appearance. Certainly possible. And Brogu said I was saying the guitar was reminiscent guitar sound of Top Gun.
Okay.
And
All right.
James Gunn has said that he has taken inspiration from Top Gun, some of the flight scenes for the flying
Oh,
stuff. So that actually makes a lot of sense.
okay. That's interesting.
And then to get back on track with Creature Commandos, Jose had said much earlier, I am reading your comments. Can't wait for Clayface to appear. Seems it's next episode's by the picture they released. Yes, they did release
Forward to
screenshots
that.
from the next episode that Clayface is appearing. And it looks like he might be working with.
With the princess?
Yes.
Sorry, did I ruin
No,
your
no, I
dragging
was
it
wanting
out
to see if
for
anyone.
suspense?
Not at all. I wanted
You
you guys
ruined
to
the
guess.
moment, Doug. You stole his thunder.
I might
Stream
have.
is
I
over.
wasn't sure what he was doing.
Stream is over.
He's working with, and then he plays the sound effect, dum dum dum, the princess, and then I ruined it by jumping in. Great, thanks, Doug. You suck. Leaving.
Get out of here.
Which and with what Doug had pointed out earlier in the scene that Amanda Waller saw through Circe, we see Grodd also. So it looks like she might be working with multitude
bunch of villains.
Yes. So we got to
Oh,
build
what
up.
if they also introduced Queen Bee from Bialia?
Ooh, I like it. That would be, oh my gosh, that would be fantastic. Because
Man,
those of you who've watched the channel for a while know Doug and I love Young Justice. So
Mm-hmm.
that would be fantastic. But, this episode ends pretty much. We see Task Force M flying back. Weasel dreaming, and Nina kind of like, I wonder what he's dreaming about. Probably chasing squirrels.
Yeah.
Episode title.
Oh,
We got it,
they said
folks.
the
We
thing.
got it. But we also know that Rick Flag Sr. has recruited Eric, aka Frankenstein Bro, to help him. So they're all heading back to that thing. So, the princess is very good at recruiting people to her side. So who knows who else could be showing up. We know Clayface is definitely showing up next episode. Rick Flag Sr., Frankenbro could all be on her side, which does show how she could pose a threat to all of these superheroes. Because we all know that, the DCU is filled with more godlike heroes than Marvel. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's nice they're building up to stuff like that. And, all the people who, it was funny, they were complaining about how Weasel could take out Cersei in the last episode. And, James Gunn explained, well, just so you know, she needs her hands to cast spells. And it's much like, an incantation from Dungeons and Dragons. When you're a wizard, you can't, cast spells when you're being attacked. And, Weasel is extremely fast and ferocious. So it's nice they kind of cleared that up, too. Like,
Yeah.
oh, well, we know you can't cast spells when your hands are locked, so she has those giant things on her hand.
Do you mind if I answer this question from Brogu?
Yeah, please do.
So Brogu asks in the chat, it says, what are your thoughts of James Gunn using Creature Commandos to start off the DC universe? Wouldn't you use your big guns like Superman to be the very first thing to start off the DC universe? And, I would have thought that at first as well. In fact, that was my initial thought when they announced that they were starting the DC universe with Creature Commandos. I thought pretty much what I think a lot of folks were, that, oh, that's strange. They're kind of starting everything off with an animated series, not the direction that I would have thought anyone would go with. But if you think about it, this acts as like the perfect bridge between the DC extended universe and then the DC universe. The fact that we're getting snippets from the previous, like we've got references from the Suicide Squad, we've got references from Peacemaker. Now kind of this is acting as the carryover into what is going to become. So to me, it actually does make sense now that we're seeing, the narration, we're understanding like exactly what is canon, what isn't. And so that's why now it makes sense, having watched these couple of episodes and seeing how it's kind of transitioning into what will become the DC universe. It does make perfect sense now, the route that James Gunn decided to go.
And just so, according to James Gunn, he was writing Creature Commandos before he took over as head of DC Studios. So this was something that was planned, because I guess the animation team over at Warner Brothers reached out to him and said, hey, do you want to do a project together? And he was like, actually, it's kind of a continuation of the Suicide Squad. And so this was going to be done before his takeover of DC Studios. So it just kind of was already in motion, and that's why it's the very first project in the DCU. Not that he necessarily planned it as a starting point, even though they're doing, in my opinion, a very good job, doing that stuff. And Jose says, free Weasel. He definitely deserves justice after, what happened. And then let's see, there are rumors going around that James Gunn's Superman movie is 2.5 hours. He did address that on Threads. My good buddy JG did say they're not finished editing yet, but he said it'll be no more than 2.5 hours.
Okay. Hey. Yeah, you know what? That's one thing that we have more or less lived by when it comes to like anything that James Gunn is a part of. If he says it, then consider it, the rumor closed. So pretty much anytime that there is some sort of rumor going around about any sort of movie or show that he's a part of, he's usually very good about hopping on social media and answering questions, debunking rumors, because I think he's just as tired of unsubstantiated rumors as the rest of us are.
Yep. And he's good about going on and debunking the big rumors. He's always said, if you don't hear from me, don't believe it. He says that if the big trades break it, like Variety, the Hollywood Reporter and stuff, they do a pretty good job of fact checking and making sure their sources are accurate, but they're not always right either. So he always says, wait to hear from me. And you can go up to, it's like DC Studios something, and you can sign up for emails and you'll get, as things are announced, you will get them. And let's see, Jose says, besides Superman and Batman, I want to see Teen Titans and JLA dark characters like Zatanna, Constantine, Detective Chimp, etc. I think we're going to see a lot of characters in the DCU. We know we're getting a Clayface movie. There's rumors that there's already work on a Teen Titans project. And seeing Starfire in that future scene in Creature Commandos makes me think that's true. But once again, he has said nothing will be announced until we have a script. So the script may be being worked on right now, and we'll hear something about, a Teen Titans here coming up. And I know that we're going to see Zatanna, Constantine, and stuff in the DCU. They just are characters that I could see James Gunn wanting to talk, have roles and have a big part in it all, especially with chapter 1 being Gods and Monsters. Constantine will definitely show up.
I was just about to say the same thing, and I'm looking forward to it too. He's one of my favorite characters.
Don appeared on Smallville, and that was pretty good. Another
Okay,
Smallville.
now 3 really. Come on, Dave. You're abusing the Smallville sound.
And who played her?
Season
Who played her on Smallville, Dave?
Serinda Swan.
You know that by
Who
heart.
also played Medusa in the Inhumans show on ABC, which unfortunately was not very good and didn't get a second season.
No, that was not a good show.
Unlike
She was also
Smallville, that got
on-
10.
She was on Reacher season 2 as well. Oh, you guys froze. Are you frozen?
No,
All right.
I didn't
No,
freeze.
I didn't freeze. I was just reading again.
Night. I saw you guys, or I saw Keith freeze, but I didn't freeze, so that was kind of weird to me. So I was just asking.
Hunter Iggy says, I want a new Batman in the DCU. I don't want to ruin Matt Reeves' Batman from Elseworld to DCU. I want to stay apart. You know, I would be fine either way. I do like Robert Pattinson's Batman. I think he does a good job. And as long as they age up where he would be in the DCU from the Matt Reeves thing, I'm fine. But if they hire a different actor and have it different, it understandable too. I think the Batman in the DCU is going to fight more of his, supernatural opponents, and it won't be as grounded as the Matt Reeves, Batman crime universe as they're calling it. So, either way, I think it'll be good. But, if they do it, I'm fine with it.
Doo-doo. You said doo-doo.
Oh, and he has hinted at Deadman before. He has hinted at Deadman quite a bit. So, there's a lot I'm sure they're working on that isn't announced yet because, like we said a little while ago, his rule is if there's not a script, we're not announcing it. So, we know they're absolutely working on a ton of stuff in the background that hopefully will be announced once we get a script. And let's see. Brogu says, Matt Reeves' Batman was great, in my humble opinion. It showed the story of a young man learning how to be a superhero detective. Agreed, sir. I thought that movie was a great way to introduce Batman to that universe. He, isn't 10 years in. It was very much reminiscent of Batman Year One. He wasn't the guy who always made the right things. He's learning how to be the Batman we will see later on. Which I think
my favorite part about all of that was sort of later on in the movie, like towards the end of the movie, when he's trying to figure out more about like who Riddler is, when he goes, walking around Riddler's apartment, and he's like kind of trancing around. The police officer looks at him like, I don't think you're supposed to be walking around a crime scene like this, and and he's grabbing the carpeting tool and digging it up and everything like that, and you can tell he's still trying to figure out how to become like the detective part of Batman. He's still not great at that. he's good at the punching faces part.
Very good. And then Hunter Iggy said, don't forget about the Wonder Woman solo animated series. Now, they have announced Paradise Lost, which is Themyscira and the Amazons. They have not, that I have seen, officially announced a Wonder Woman solo animated series. But I would not be surprised if they are working on multiple projects with Wonder Woman. And if one's an animated series, I'm down. And Jose says, I hope he writes The Authority at least. Even if he doesn't direct it, just feels right up his alley with those characters. Couldn't agree more. There's a reason he has the engineer in Superman. He wants to bring those characters, I think it was Wildstorm that they were a part of, bring them into his DCU because they're the characters that he does the best, writing and everything. So, if they come in, and there's been rumors that the Authority movie is going to be animated, like I talked earlier, changing over from live action. So I could definitely see James Gunn, writing that. He does tend to write things pretty quickly. He is quick. He wrote like Peacemaker season 2. He wrote the Superman movie. He wrote Creature Commandos. all within a short amount of time. So he may already be working on the Authority plot. He may even have half the script done for all we know, because he's
Oh
been,
yeah.
he's seemingly on Christmas vacation. He's been on social media quite a bit the last couple days. So he could be writing it over his Christmas break, just finishing up the script and getting things where it needs to be.
I just wonder how many things he's actually going to be involved in writing. You know, um,
Mm.
although we all love his writing style, he can't be involved in every project.
I don't
You
think
might
he
try.
will. I think he will approve all the scripts, obviously, as the the creative part of DC Studios. But yeah, he even said, he talked about between Creature Commandos, Peacemaker season 2, and Superman. He's like, it was the busiest year he's ever had,
Oh,
and
I
he
bet.
doesn't want to do that again. So I think he'll branch out and let other creators come in and do what they want to do, and as long as it kind of fits where it needs to be, we'll see a lot more creators, writers, directors coming in. He just, obviously needs to get this off the ground, and who better to do it than himself? We'll have Creature
Yeah,
Commandos, Superman, and Peacemaker season 2.
a lot less meddling, and if it is meddling from him, I don't think it'll be bad meddling. It'll just be more like advice. I
Yeah,
don't.
script
I
notes.
Yeah.
Yep. And we do
So
know that Lanterns obviously is not going to be written or directed by James Gunn. That's Damon Lindelof, Tom King, and then it was the showrunner from True Detective and stuff. So yeah, Lanterns is already going to be something that is not written and directed by James Gunn in the DCU. Probably the first project we'll see. We know Supergirl is not written by James Gunn, so it'll be good to see. I trust him. I hope it's good. We all of us, I think, love DC Comics, and we've always enjoyed most of their animated projects. Let's get their live action up there too. That's all we want. We're not axing too much.
No, I don't think so. I had to get another absolutely drink.
Oh,
Oh, absolutely.
absolutely. So, getting back to Creature Commandos, it'll be interesting to see
Again.
how all of these parties converging into back to that country is going to play out.
Hmm.
It'll be absolute mayhem, I hope, and it'll be great.
Absolutely.
Oh my
Yeah,
god!
that counts for half a sip.
Yeah, that counts for half a sip. If you're new to the show, we all take a drink when we say absolutely. And I did it again.
And if you're on Twitch, we do have channel points where you can pay some channel points to make us drink by saying that word, which I will not say again. Oh, and speaking, before get off track one more time, I didn't mention this. We talked about all the characters in the Superman trailer. The engineer was in the trailer. Did you guys know that?
No.
The scene where it says Luthor Corp,
Hmm.
the engineer is down underneath it.
Really? I didn't catch that.
Someone, I didn't either. Someone reached
Oh,
out
what,
to
like the Easter egg
JG
channels?
yeah, and said, "Is this the engineer?" And he goes, "Wow, I can't believe you saw that." But yep, that's her. I was like,
Oh, that's
All
awesome.
right, interesting.
so yes, it is going to be chock full.
Very, very jam-packed movie. So, which of these, DC characters did you want to maybe put in the movie? Like, we've got tons and tons that you can pick from. Yes. Yes to what? All of them.
I'm gonna
Oh.
put them all. I don't care if they're walking in the background. Everybody's in this movie, okay?
Booster Gold is
Every-
showing up.
Right, yeah.
The Teen Titans are going to run by at one point. We're going to get the Demon rhyming as he's walking past at some point. We'll
A mouse or any small animal, that's Beast Boy.
A green mouse, yeah.
Right?
Oh, and Jose says if Superman movie fails, I hope it doesn't, but we'll go with that. I think they still try to continue, but through TV, HBO Max, and not cinematic.
I don't think it will fail, but it is also hard to know what's going to happen because not to bring this up again. I know everybody wants to kind of like think past it, but ever since the pandemic, like movie theaters just have not been the same. You know, you've got your major big time blockbusters that are guaranteed to bring people in. Like when we all went to go see Spider-Man um No Way Home. Huge movie, obviously going to bring in tons of people. But a lot of these other movies, it's we'll go and we'll sit down at the theater for our shameless plug at the theater review. And I can't tell you how many times we've sat down and commented, wow, it's kind of empty, even in movies that we don't necessarily expect it to be all that empty. And it's still, we're looking around like, oh, this is kind of weird.
Now, just so you know, something that makes me think, cold hard facts that make me think this isn't going to fail.
Okay.
They announced, I'm going to find it. I have a note here somewhere about it. Where is it?
Was it about like an initial viewing of it?
Yes, 250 million views of the trailer and a million more social posts. Superman is officially the most viewed and most talked about trailer in the history of both DC and Warner Brothers. And he
Okay.
said that's because of all of you. And someone posted that the top like 5 trailers views of all time was like Spider-Man No Way Home, Avengers Endgame, Avengers Infinity War. And what was the other one? I can't remember the other one now. But all movies that went on to be wildly successful.
I think
So-
the Batman was the Matt Reeves Batman.
Was that the
That
other
was
one?
the other one.
Okay.
Yes.
And that just goes to show there's no direct translation between how many views the trailer gets and how much money it's going to make. But it seems like the ones that go overboard when they have, over 200 million views, they seem to do well. Now, this could be the, exception to that rule, but there's been so much talk about it. I mean, just look at our channel. We were talking Creature Commandos, and we keep getting dragged away into the Superman trailer to talk more about
Right.
it because everybody wants to talk about it. I had people at work who know I do this asking me about it. I was at my nephew's college graduation little party today, and people were talking about it. It seems like everybody is talking about this trailer, especially people that are familiar with the Reeves, the Richard Donner, Christopher Reeves Superman movie, because it kind of really does pay homage to all that. So I think it's going to do great. Now, will some of the other DC movies do great? Who knows at this point. But I think all of us here at Not Your Status Quo are hoping it succeeds so we get more
yeah.
down this line. We don't need another reboot.
Absolutely. We hope that it succeeds.
I think it's going to depend on the momentum and how well they do the previous movies.
Yeah, I don't think it's very rare that we go in thinking or knowing or wanting something to do poorly. I think like we we assumed that Madam Web wasn't going to do very good. We assumed that Craven wasn't going to do very good. We don't want those movies to fail, though. There's a difference between that. Like, knowing that something probably isn't going to succeed based on what we know about the production and, based on what we've seen so far, knowing that it's probably not going to do well is different from wanting it to. And I know that us here, the three of us, we don't want these movies to fail.
I would rather be, pleasantly surprised by a
Yeah.
movie that I thought was going to stink than hope for something to do bad. I mean, even with the Sony universe, scrapping their plans. I mean, we weren't hoping for that, but it's probably the best thing that they could do. They continue putting out that garbage.
And Jose says Supergirl movie success all depends on Superman. I disagree with that, Jose. I don't think the success of Supergirl is going to be dependent on the success of another movie. I think maybe the momentum to want to go see it may hinge on how Superman does. It may change how people view it, whether they want to quickly go rush to the theater. But I think word of mouth in knowing how well the movie actually succeeds in telling the story and displaying the character, I think that's what's going to make the difference of whether it does well or not.
And what I meant a minute ago when I said the momentum of the previous movie is
Yeah.
a movie like Clayface. Like,
Yeah.
if all the other if the other DC movies are good, then you might trust that. All right, I don't know who Clayface is because you're not a DC reader, You
Okay.
might not know who Clayface is very well, but hey, these other movies have been good. Let's give it a chance. You know what I
And
mean?
we
Hmm.
saw that in the MCU, in the first couple phases. I mean, they released a Guardians of the Galaxy movie who probably 95% of humanity had no idea what that was. But
Yep.
because it was MCU, people went and saw it, and it was a good movie. It was well written, it was entertaining, so it did well at the box office. So I definitely think previous success can help with that because it'll be in the DCU too. But Doug's right. If word of mouth is bad and it doesn't look that great in the trailers, it's could very feasibly not do well, no matter how good Superman does.
Hmm. One other thing that I did want to mention about that is one thing that I think, just from, viewing his other movies, one thing that I think that James Gunn is good at doing is character descriptions through storytelling, where going back to what we were talking about before, how we're not going to really see any sort of backstories of these characters. This is a very lived-in universe. I think James Gunn is successful in that kind of thing. I was watching a YouTube channel over the weekend by a guy named Slush, I think his name was. He does a lot of South Park breakdowns and video essays. And he was talking about how what they used to do in the earlier seasons is because they were very episodic. They would sort of have the character speak, and that's what let you know who they were as a character without having to like go into describing exactly who they were every single time. And I think James Gunn is good at that. He's good at introducing these characters, just giving you, letting their actions and the way that they talk sort of demonstrate who they are. And I think that's also going to carry over into movies like Supergirl, where we're going to see who she is, learn all about her. We don't necessarily probably need to have a backstory. I don't know if it's going to be an origin story movie, but if it isn't, I don't think that we'll need one because I think James Gunn is so good at telling us who these people are without doing a full origin story, a la Guardians of the Galaxy.
And Jose says, I think it depends on how they manage their budgets as well. Clayface, is reportedly going to be about $40 million, and it could make the money back even if it kind of fails. And that's
Hmm.
true. I think they're.
Yeah.
I hope they don't. Start every movie has to have a $250 million budget. Yada yada. The fact that they think they can make this Clayface movie for $40 million, probably a lot of practical effects and stuff, makes me excited. It seems like they got a good plan. They're not, going crazy, trying to do all this wacky stuff. The writer from Doctor Sleep, Mike Flanagan, wrote it. He's a darn good writer, so hopefully Clayface is fantastic and we continue to get DCU.
Well, Alan Tudyk, so.
Yes. God, I hope Alan Tudyk does the voice. Has he been confirmed to do it yet?
Yeah, he said he was doing Clayface in both. And
Oh,
he did
that's
a
awesome.
demonstration. He said, "So this is a version of Clayface from Harley Quinn." And he says, "But then Clayface, the villain from Creature Commandos, he's a real criminal." And he did like he changed up how he did the voice, and I was like, "Oh, that was impressive." It was the group of them, everybody, all the voice actors from Creature Commandos that were doing an interview.
Is he
And
doing the voice for the movie?
Yep. For the movie that I don't know,
Okay. That would be
but
awful.
and mentioning that $40 million budget, you look back at like Deadpool, the first Deadpool had a $58 million budget, and that thing
mhm.
made almost what $800 million, something like that.
Yeah.
So you know, you don't need a huge budget. They didn't do a whole lot of, they had that basically the bridge scene took almost the whole movie with the flashbacks. They can do something like that, and not have to have a whole lot of sets or elaborate stuff and still have a great movie.
Yep. Dave, you are absolutely right.
Absolutely. Let me add a little caveat. I don't really have a caveat. I just want to say it.
Oh, and Jose says he could do the monster voice, but maybe someone else has human form. Yeah, he could do it too. He's a good live action actor too. We I think we may have to stand Alan Tudyk. He's been in so many great things.
Yeah. Think of it. You know, he was
Well, I
part
could
of
see him. I could see him
part-
playing a live action Clayface as well, especially if we go with what James Gunn said before, where everybody who plays that character in animated form is going to carry over and play it in the live action.
He did
Isn't
say
he
that.
supposed to be the huge girth out of Clayface, or you know, is he just actually just like in the shows, he can make himself in any form, obviously. So he could be Alan Tudyk size.
Hmm.
Let's see. Harley Quinn Clayface. My daddy didn't love me. Oh my God, Clayface on Harley Quinn is just
He's the
phenomenal.
bear.
Between King Shark and Clayface, or
Yes.
that makes
Oh,
that
they're
show
so
so
great.
perfect. And season, is it 4 of Harley Quinn
5.
comes out? Yeah, 5 is coming out January 16th, I believe.
Oh, looking
So
forward to
Can't
it.
wait.
it'll be good. But don't know if you guys have any other thoughts. Should we rate this episode of Creature Commandos? What do you think, gentlemen?
I'm done for that. Did Dave freeze?
It looks like he's sitting still. I don't think he. Oh no, he did freeze.
Oh,
He's back.
nope, I think he moved. All right. Hey, Dave. Can you hear me? Oh, never mind.
Sorry. Oh, he's back. Hold on. Oh my
There
gosh.
he is. All right.
Having OBS issues.
I'm back.
Excellent. Dave, should we rate this?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Seeing as how most of our conversation has been about this show.
Yeah, sure.
It has dominated this stream.
90 straight minutes of Creature Commandos and nothing else.
I tell you what, I do love the audience participation tonight. It's been really great. I wish we could have this, you know, going up every time from now on. So this
Oh, that'd be
episode was such a sad episode for that backstory. It's such a sad thing to see, and he can't defend himself. But and at the same time, like in the current moment, he's kind of oblivious to it. He's just living his life. You know, he thinks back about it, but you know, there's nothing he can do. And the situation is he's in, he's making the best out of it. You know,
Mhm.
as the Weasel, and Rick Flag, being played by the princess, and it's like he doesn't even detect it. You know, and for a guy to be in his position and not to understand, you know, that he can be played as well. I mean, eventually, I'm sure he'll figure it out, but I like how they're taking it every step of the way, you know. And Waller was great in this episode, and that dude from, like I said, I can't remember his name. The dude from
John.
Peacemaker,
Yeah, John.
John. Let's just call him John.
Stevie V.
Like Beyonce. Yeah, I love this episode. I think it did great. Jose gave it a 9 in the chat, and I tell you what, I'm right there with him. I'm gonna give it an 8.5 because you know I'm just a snooty bastard. So that's my rating. 8.5. It is going up. I think I don't know what I gave it last week, but I really enjoyed this episode.
My turn?
Yes,
Yes,
your
sir.
turn. Go ahead, Doug.
Okay. Usually you say, okay, Doug.
Okay, Doug, what do you think?
Okay, thanks. I got to agree with every point that you said, Dave. It was a fantastic episode. I wasn't sure. I know that I've said this before. I was not sure how this is going to do. I wasn't super excited about it going in, especially, hearing about like, all they're gonna do is just like introduce these characters. They're gonna do stupid flashbacks and whatever. But oh my gosh, they've really pulled it off. The action is fantastic. The storytelling is great, and I actually care about these characters. I didn't know that that would be that possible. But for me to care about a Nazi killing robot and now a bug-eyed weasel, wouldn't have guessed that. Wouldn't have said that about a month ago. If you would have asked me like, "Hey, what are your thoughts on Weasel from Suicide Squad and Creature Command?" I would have said, "I don't know, indifferent. I don't really care." But now, I mean, way to tug at my heartstrings, and Can we get some clarity? Did you say that perhaps the princess is the bad guy? Perhaps this clairvoyant episode might be alluding to something. So was I right? Not in our last stream, but our
You
stream before
you
last?
were 100% absolutely right, sir.
No, okay, so to be fair, I to me I saw like all the signs, like especially when they're showing, grandma sitting at the table kind of like just drooling. I'm like, I don't trust her. So, yeah, I do wonder like what next episode is going to bring us. And I truly do want to know what's next. This show has me so hooked in wanting to know what's next. I'm sitting here thinking, you know, is it Wednesday yet or Tuesday or whatever day this comes out? I don't know. I turned it
Thursday.
on.
Thursday.
Thursday?
Skeleton Crew
Yeah.
is Tuesday.
Crew is
Creature
on
Commandos
Tuesday.
is Thursday.
Okay, all right. Well, anyway, I'll watch it when it comes out, but I'm always looking forward to it. It's a great show. I also have to be with Dave on this one for the fantastic storytelling, the just the amazing characterization, the flashback story. 8.5 all the way.
You guys made excellent points. And the fact that, writing from earlier episodes is starting to play into the plot now. He's making us care about all these characters. The fact that in the Suicide Squad, Weasel was almost just kind of a joke character, seemingly. And now you're kind of finding out his real backstory and all this stuff going on. The stakes that are being presented have been awesome. Hey, this is going to end this universe, yada yada yada. It's all this little ground point here. It's not all just, hey, we're all together and we're all going off. We got like the reason Frankenstein is trying to get there is well documented.
Eric.
Eric, yeah, sorry, Eric Frankenbro. It's all well documented. It's so well written. It all comes together. It's everything about it. The opening theme music, I don't skip past it. It's so entertaining. I don't know what it is, but oh my god, it makes me feel good and upbeat, and everything about this show has just been very well done. And I think this episode, while I don't think it was as good as the GI Robot episode from last week, it was still tremendous, and I'm going to give it an 8.75. I loved it. I can't wait to watch it again. I haven't had time because of the holidays and everything going on, but I am looking forward to watching this episode again before episode 5 comes out.
Did I give the GI Robot episode a 9? If I didn't, that's what it should be.
I believe you did.
Okay.
And I think I gave it a 9.1. No, I don't remember what I gave it.
You probably did.
I did.
He had to outdo you.
Right.
It's not outdoing him. It's just showing that the silver linings. I look for the good in stuff. I'm a positive person.
That's why
Now-
Keith goes last, so he can give us a higher rating than the rest of us.
If you would like to, next time we'll switch it up. Next week, it'll be reverse. It'll be me first, Doug, and then Dave. That way, Dave can ensure that he has the lowest score.
If you go back and you watch our at the theater review of Craven, I'm pretty sure Keith gave it a lower score than you and I did, Dave.
I did.
He did. Yeah. That's a miracle right
first.
there.
Yeah, right. It's a Christmas miracle.
That's a silver lining if I ever seen one. Hey.
All right. Anyone else on the chat have any ratings? Anything they want to talk about? We're just missing Nina and Phosphorus backstory. Can't wait. Good point.
I really want to see Nina's backstory. She's a very compelling character. The fact that she does not come off as your standard bad guy to me.
And the fact that we've gotten GI Robot, how he kind of got arrested was not really his fault. He kills Nazis. That's what he was programmed to do.
Did his programming.
Right. And then definitely seeing Weasel, being, I don't want to say framed, but just, the misunderstanding.
I said, yeah, the situation was a huge misunderstanding. Again, they looked at it and said, oh, the ugly guy is a bad guy, obviously. He's attacking the children.
So seeing how Nina ended up being basically in Belle Reve is going to be hopefully a great story because she seems like the nicest of everyone in that group.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully Dr. Phosphorus is just absolute bonkers. And, Because he seems a little bit.
Oh yeah, he did say absolute, didn't he?
Oh, I did. I didn't. Oh my gosh. I'm not even trying at this point.
Yeah. It comes natural.
Oh, he sent. What if James Gunn brings back the original Scooby Doo gang from the live action as DCU as cameos? That'd be pretty funny. I don't know if they'll do it, but as long as it's not too
I
distracting.
don't know how they would fit within the DC universe all that well, but sure.
Well, they always have, Batman and Scooby Doo comics and stuff.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
And the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We've seen that before.
True.
Jose says Phosphorus seems like the only real villain in the group. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah,
But
he
very
does
lighthearted.
some offense.
I have a feeling his origin is going to be like he didn't start that way, but probably because of the things that have happened, he's just kind of evolved into more of a villain than the others in the group.
What if his is like the saddest story of it all? Like it's even more sad than like Weasel getting thought to be a villain, or GI Robot arrested for just doing what he's told. What if like Phosphorus? It's I honestly I haven't looked into it. I really should. I don't know his comic book backstory, but like what if they end up saying, oh, he was used as a human experiment and he had no choice, and
He
now
was.
he's arrested as a result of. Okay, well, yeah, and then there you go.
So it should be good. I wonder did they hint at whose we're getting next week? Because I know I saw.
You mean you didn't watch the preview?
I did, and I can't remember it.
I did not watch the preview yet.
Well, we'll be surprised on Thursday. But should we find someone to raid, gentlemen?
Yes, I think we should. And by the way, for those of you who do not know, rating is something that we do on Twitch. It takes everybody who is watching us live on Twitch and allows us to kind of send them over to another live stream also happening on Twitch. We've got a lot of friends on Twitch that we like to go visit from time to time.
You know what? Laura Loopsy is on. We have not rated her in a long time. What do you guys think?
I think that's a good
I'm all
choice.
about it.
Excellent.
I was looking at the list that I have here and the people we rate all the time. So that sounds good.
Now, just so you gentlemen are aware, I did find out earlier today that there is something similar that we can do on YouTube, and it's called redirecting.
Okay.
Yeah, so something that we might want to look into,
Oh, definitely.
where we
They
can
must have-
redirect our viewers to another live stream happening on YouTube.
We will figure that out. And those of you on YouTube right now, we will get it done for you guys. Right now, we don't know how to do it, so
No,
the four of you. Still
it's
out
something
there.
about going into the settings.
And Jose says, "Catch you guys next time." We will be back Friday
Excellent.
night talking Skeleton Crew for sure, and maybe next Sunday, I believe, for Creature Commandos. But we would love to have you back. Thank you so much for being here. We are going to raid Laura Loopsy on Twitch, and we'll see you guys Friday.
Hey fellow nerds, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of this stuff, make sure that you check out our Twitch stream. We try to do these live Sunday or Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Keep an eye on our social media to find out when you can join in live and chat with us during these live streams. Also, as usual, don't forget to check out our other social media. Add us at Twitter, comment down below, and we'll see you next time right here on Not Your Status Quo.